Hello and welcome to the Indian Express. The Academy Awards ceremony, or as we will call it, the Oscars 2024 ceremony, has just concluded. And I have with me a room full of very tired Indian Express journalists who have been covering the event from 4 a.m. in the morning. They have been writing their opinions and uh, bringing to you the latest updates, all of which you can read in the links below. I have with me, diving straight into the topic, I have with me people who write on cinema for Indian Express. I've got Shubhra Gupta, our resident film critic. I've got Shalini, who reviews Bollywood cinema for us. We have got Jyoti, the entertainment online editor. And I've got Rohan, who also writes on Hollywood and Bollywood cinema. So I'll go category wise, and let's go start with best director, and we can discuss the winner, which is of course Christopher Nolan this year. The other nominees in this category were Justin Tribe for Anatomy of a Fall, Martin Scorsese uh, for Killers of the Flower Moon, and of course Nolan for Oppenheimer. Shubhra, if you could tell us who do you think, as in, was your favorite, and what do you think of the winner?
I think it was always going to be Nolan's year this year, and it was, I think, from the time Oppenheimer came out in July. I think there was such a huge, I think the Oscar buzz started right then, and it sort of continued through the award season. Usually, there is some kind of an ebb and flow when, films kind of break out a little early, especially these summer films, as Hollywood calls them, because they want to capture all the, sort of the holiday crowd. I would say that usually a July release loses a bit of steam towards the end of the year, but this Oppenheimer was never going to be one of those. It was always going to be the film and the director. I think it was almost ordained that this would be Nolan's year, as far as director is concerned, and as far as the even the best picture, I think was always going to be Oppenheimer. I mean, whether you think that the the physicist was within his rights to do what he did, creating the A bomb, which literally was the killer for so many. I mean, so many people just were wiped out from the planet because of the existence of this bomb, or that this bomb was used to shut down a diabolical war, which the allies would have lost if if this bomb hadn't been in existence. So you can be on the fence on that. I mean, there are many people I know who think that this man is evil, but depend on from the crafts point of view. I think it's a sprawling. Nolan has gone in for epic and sprawling, but he also is very sympathetic towards Nolan. There is no doubt about it. So it sort of weighs in on Nolan's side, and I think both Best Picture, Best Director, Robert Downey Jr. as the best supporting actor, who was the government kind of he was the one who really opposed Oppenheimer's climb, the rise of Oppenheimer, and he was the reason why I think Oppenheimer got stymied and he just got stopped in his tracks. Nothing happened because he went and the kind of case that he built against him because of his communist links, alleged communist links, and how that could weaken America's, security concerns at that point of time. Yeah.
Now, Shalini, you reviewed the film and you gave it a really good review. You gave it 4.5 stars, which is quite a stellar review from you. Generally, you tend to be a bit picky. Do you still stand by it being the best film of the year? And what do you think of this win for Nolan?
Yeah, I do not, like Shubhra said, I don't think there was any doubt that this was going to be, at least in best actor, director, and the picture category. I don't think there was any doubt. I think this film stood. It was just the kind of Hollywood film and it came at just the right moment. I think this is a year of wars. and the politics of the film was also right, despite the fact that this was, of course, about the man who built the atomic bomb, but the fact that he had his doubts about the same, I mean, his entire life he debated, or he jostled with the fact, or grappled with the fact that he was the man who built it. I think the fact that the picture was constructed like that, I think it was just the right film at the right moment, plus the fact that the acting and the sprawl of it was so magnificent. I don't think any other film lived up to that. And I think the other films in contrast, which were in the reckoning, I maybe Killers of the Flower Moon would have come relatively close, and as far as the politics and as just the scale of the film was concerned. But I think Oppenheimer was anyway a better film than Killers of Flower Moon. So I don't think there was any doubt that this film would win this year.
Also,
Jyoti,
I think Nolan had been nominated several times
Yeah,
before.
earlier.
Yeah, I think 8 or 9, 7 or 8 times. It was going to be his year, and Scorsese has won it. So I think it was a toss-up between his year, it's Nolan's year, it's finally time. I think that
Jyoti,
also
true.
was quite
Jyoti,
a fact.
Jyoti, do you think this, as Shubhra pointed out, academy making up for past misses uh, applies here, and in the sense, and what do you think, and also what do you think about the win?
See, when Nolan was nominated for Dunkirk, I expected him to win because Dunkirk, I think the way it showed that very special moment in the history, and the way Nolan captured it, it was amazing. But this time I think Oppenheimer it's not a sympathy Oscar. It is an Oscar that is very, very well deserved. In fact, if anything, I expected the film to win even, on a larger scale, perhaps even tie up with Titanic or Ben Hur, the kind of Oppenheimer, predictions that we were seeing before Oscars. But it is a beautiful sweeping film. It is a film which is as much about the Second World War as it is about our time, because it is basically about hubris. It is about the error. It is about big men and their egos. It is about a man trying to solve everything with a bomb. So I think this was a no-brainer. There was no way that the best picture, and the best director were going to go to anybody but Nolan this year.
Rohan, your 2 cents.
My 2 cents are that yes, I agree with everybody. I agree with Jyoti that this isn't a sympathy Oscar, although it could have been, because uh, Nolan snubs have been more fair than many other filmmakers because he's just so popular among the generation that kind of likes voicing their opinion. So this one felt deserved, especially after Dark Knight wasn't nominated at all, and that kind of brought about sweeping changes in the way the Academy uh, they increased the nominations field, for instance. And we've seen in the past how the Oscars are handed out, as sympathies to even Scorsese, for example. He won for The Departed, which many would argue wasn't his best movie. But this one feels like a culmination of his career, Nolan. So yeah, richly deserved.
Okay, moving on to the next category, which would be, the best actor, which we know Cillian Murphy won. And it also had many other stellar performances. I will just go straight to Shubhra and ask her to choose whether is she happy with Cillian Murphy as the best actor, or did she have any other favorite?
No, I think it was again a role that Cillian did with such acuity. I mean, he gets into that, hits the sweet spot between somebody who is completely convinced about what he's doing, and yet he is full of doubt, and there is a complexity to him without actually, calling attention to the fact that he's doing a complex role. Um, I just saw a film in Berlin, which was the opener, which is called Small Things Like These, in which he has a very, very different role, in which he plays somebody who is, again, a man who's, sort of an ordinary man who walks into a very difficult situation. But here he is the titular, he is the person who's actually driving everything in this film. The whole film revolves around him, his dilemmas, his moral and ethical core, everything. And I think the character of Oppenheimer, the fact that we end up saying, we end up saying, yes, he possibly was in the right, is because of the way Murphy plays him. Plays him with such there are so many points in which you could have said, oh, that's the point where he could have dialed back. He could have said, no. There are these cutesy little scenes which he does with, with Eisenstein in the beginning and in the end. I thought those could have, gone into some kind of but a kind of bathos, but no, he doesn't. He's bracing, he's in it, and he fully covers the whole. The outlines are completely filled in by Murphy. I think it is very well deserved, the actor, the best actor. Yeah.
His fellow nominees were Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Corman Domingo for Rustin, Paul Giamatti for Holdovers, and Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. That performance was amazing for me. But Shalini,
Sorry, I just wanted to break in. The only thing, the only person that I thought was could have come close was the Giamatti character, because I love his performances. I loved him in Sideways. I think he should have gone, he should have got something more for it. And I think here again he does this slightly dislikable, slightly irascible, but the thing with this, those are predictable notes. At the end of the film, he will turn into this, mushy teddy bear. So I guess maybe that's why. But otherwise, I thought this should have been his year too. But uh, there you go.
Shalini?
Yeah, I agree with what Shubhra has said. I don't think there was any way that Cillian Murphy was not going to get it. And like Shubhra said, I think the pain, the harrowing toll that the bomb takes on him, I think that Cillian portrayed with amazing capability. So, it's never, though in the beginning we see him as this person who is afraid that he'll lose out in this whole race for the bomb when he goes to Germany, and it's Germany, I think, or Europe, and then they come to America. But it's never a euphoric moment, once he gets that the bomb is there. So you can feel the toll that it has taken on him. So it's a really great performance. Apart from the fact that it's a great film to be in, I think his performance just lifts the whole thing. Yeah, I think the other person, I agree, closest could have been Yamati, but it was a predictable, like Shubhra said, it was a role that has been done before many times, and maybe Giamatti deserved it for other films and not this one. But this was again, yeah, I think Murphy had to get this one for Best Actor.
Jyoti, of course, Cillian Murphy we talked about, but if there are other performances that stood out for you amongst the nominees or even otherwise, if you could discuss those.
Perhaps I am the wrong person to answer this question, because I think there was Cillian Murphy and there was everybody else. So
Okay.
this year, the success of Oppenheimer depended on Murphy's ability to portray, a very layered and complex character also on screen. And he did that with such feverish intensity, in fact, I would like to point out one scene. We basically see the nuclear explosion through the atomic bomb bursting through his eyes. Nolan never shows us exactly what is happening on the ground, for which Nolan has also been, criticized quite a lot. But we see him through his eyes, we see his, reactions, and then his how he goes from stage A to stage B after that. So, and he performs so beautifully in those sequences that those are the scenes that will stay with me. As a film lover, there are some scenes that you always remember. So that explosion in IMAX that we see in black and white, those are the scenes that will absolutely stay with me. So completely Team Murphy here.
Rohan, please choose one other performance apart from. I mean, of course, you want to celebrate his performance, but is there anything else that you thought that
Yeah,
stood out?
everyone's already spoken about Cillian Murphy, so I'm going to not speak about him anymore. In fact, why not shout out someone who wasn't nominated at all? Andrew Scott for All of Us Strangers.
Yeah.
Just completely erased from the awards race for maybe the best performance of his life. I don't think he can even top it ever. So yeah, check that film out, everyone.
Absolutely. And moving on ahead, like now to best best direction is something that I don't even feel we should discuss because it'll again be such a celebration of Christopher Nolan. Not that we don't want to celebrate him, but it's just that we're running short of time and we. Oh no, but if it were to be, I will point out the nominations. If you guys want to discuss anything else from the best direction category, best film category. So best direction we've discussed, best films. If there's any other film that you guys want to discuss apart from Oppenheimer, please, Shubhra, is there any other film that you want to discuss?
If I can go first, I would say I really liked the Anatomy of a Fall. I think it was a very, very complex film, and it leaves you suspended even at the end. And the fact that there are no, I mean, it speaks at so many levels of a relationship in a marriage, a parent's relationship to the child, the woman's role expected of her, and when she tries to break free from that, even in the courtroom, how she's supposed to be, and how the pressures on her to be a certain way. So I thought that was a very, very intelligent film. So that was one film maybe could have got more. I think it just won one, right? Adapted screenplay or
So,
screenplay one, original
yeah.
was. That was
Actually,
my other favorite.
can I raise my hand and say that I loved Poor Things. I loved it. I
Actually,
think
I
it's
haven't seen it. Yeah. So yeah, that's
okay.
one miss.
So
It's on Hotstar. We watched it.
Yargo,
It
the
has
land
it is there.
what?
It's there now.
It's not
It's
in the
It's on
are you
Hotstar.
saying it's not been nominated?
No, it is not. It's nominated.
Streaming on Hotstar. It's what I'm saying. It's streaming on Hotstar. Disney
Oh,
Hotstar.
no, I didn't.
No,
No,
I'll
no.
get.
It was in the nominations, right? The
Yeah,
best
yeah.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really think how is it on Hotstar? Has it released in India yet?
No.
No, but it's
No, I
streaming
don't
on.
think so. I've seen it outside.
No,
Yeah.
a lot of films. I think Maestro also never released in the halls, right?
No, Maestro has gone
Directly
straight
to
to Netflix. No, Maestro has
Netflix,
gone
yeah.
straight to Netflix. I think there was a very limited release for that one. No, to get back to what I was saying about Poor Things, I think it is, I mean, I love Lanthimos's work. I think he's one of those people who uses the bizarre. And, his idea is, the whole thing about shock and awe, but what he's trying to say is something which is so elemental, and he combines these two things in a way that actually nobody else is doing right now in cinema. And I think this one is fantastic in the way, like I've used the word, and it's brilliantly bonkers, and it's such a strong feminist film. It's got Emma Stone, who I really think is, again, I think you're probably going to come to it, but I'm jumping the gun here. I think she's really fantastic. She's out there, and she
Absolutely.
really matches characters' energies and just takes it over from there. And yeah.
Jyoti, you don't get to choose Poor Things. You have to choose something else now.
In terms of snubs, more than Best Picture, I think Greta Gerwig should have got a nomination for Best Director.
Yeah.
That is something, what it stands for, what the film stands for. That should have happened, but so much has already been written and said about it.
Absolutely. Team Barbie. But Rohan, any favorites which apart from other
Not
winner?
Barbie for sure. I big fan of Zone of Interest. Um, Great film. I think a companion piece to Killers of the Flower Moon in the climax and what the climax says and how it kind of points fingers um at the audience in a way. So yeah, that one's incredibly directed also. You wouldn't expect something that takes a big boss approach to the Holocaust to be so chilling, but there you have it.
Uh, Now moving on to one of my favorite categories, as in probably my favorite category, which is the best actress in the leading role. We had Annette Bening for Nad, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moons, Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, and of course the winner, Emma Stone for Poor Things. Shubhra, your favorite? I'm guessing it's Emma Stone, right? In this
Yeah,
category.
I think there's no comparison. I mean, Lily Gladstone would have been the politically correct choice because, of representation and diversity and the things that the Oscars are trying to be now, having been the bastion of this white middle-aged Anglo-Saxon preserve for so long. They're trying very hard, but I think Lily Gladstone it's a lovely performance. It has many grace notes. But if you see Emma Stone burning up the screen in Poor Things, I think there is literally no comparison in my head as to who deserved the Best Actress. And I'm actually a little surprised because the Academy doesn't really go for these really out there films. But this one, I'm completely on board with. This is a marvelous performance. It will stay with me. It's a stayer, and I think it's also, I think, her career best in so many ways. Yeah.
Shalini?
Since I haven't seen Poor Things, I think I should skip this one. But yeah,
Oh,
but Lily, yeah, like Shubhra is saying,
nice.
I would have thought that Oscars would go for the politically correct thing and give her the award. But yeah, but in like how Shubhra describes it, if that's the role, I think Emma definitely deserved it more than Lily Gladstone. She
Okay.
wasn't central in that sense to Killers of the Flower Moon. She would have been more central. I thought the film wasn't about her as much as the fact that her very presence lifted the film. So I'm surprised. I mean, I do not even think she had the leading role in the movie.
Okay. Okay. Jyoti?
But I really like Sandra Hüller in
Oh,
Anatomy of Fall again, one of the yeah.
okay. Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Brilliant.
I think again how Shubhra describes it, I'm sure that role probably is more looks like more Oscar worthy.
I think both of them, I mean, she was so good in both Zone as well as this
Both
one.
zone
It's
of yeah,
fantastic. I mean,
yeah, same here.
yeah, very good. But I'm waiting for Shalini for you to see Poor Things, and then we can
Okay.
circle back to this discussion. Yeah.
So she had an amazing show called The Curse, which if you guys see, it's really good. She's amazing
Yeah,
in
yeah,
it.
yeah. Emma Stone, na? Emma
Emma
Stone,
Stone.
yeah.
It was clearly Emma Stone's, yeah. Jyoti, what do you have a particular favorite apart?
See,
I mean,
Emma Stone has already won, and Lily Gladstone would have made for a good statement. But for me, I think Gladstone I saw as a supporting actor rather than, although her role is pivotal to Scorsese's film, but still, I never saw her, as despite such a wave for her, I never saw her as the best actress winner. Since we have talked about almost everybody, I also like to point out I really like Carey Mulligan in as Bernstein's wife in Maestro. I think that was a lovely performance, and to her the film belonged more than perhaps even Bradley Cooper's character. She was the real standout for me in that film. But I think Emma Stone is by far the one who really, kind of had had a beautiful performance, had an inspired performance. So I think it has gone to the right person.
Rohan,
Uh, Why don't I pick something that hasn't been nominated again? Yeah. Um, Julianne Moore, not been nominated. Oddly, kind of should have. Uh,
Sorry,
May
the Todd
December
Haynes
Day.
film. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that
Uh,
was such a complex film. Yeah, really good. Yeah.
yeah. In the Wrong Hands could have been uh funny, not in the right way, obviously. But then she finds that balance of making that character a human despite the kind of outwardness of the performance, which I thought was, it baffles me why she wasn't nominated.
True. Natalie Portman was nominated in the Best Supporting category, right? No, she was not. Oh,
No.
Also snubbed.
Mhm.
oh, okay, okay.
But the
So,
theory is that the movie is so critical of actors and acting is that they were
yeah,
shut out by their peers.
which when so this is again something that I as someone who watches film is and also follows Oscar, I'm curious about. Do you guys as film writers feel that I mean, we all know that there's a template that Oscar goes for when it comes to lead performances, biographies, like these overwhelming arcs about of characters and stuff. So, do you think Oscar is and especially in this particular Oppenheimer, of course, was again a biography which it recognized, but with Poor Things, do you think it is in this way this year in recent times trying to like trying to get over that? Do you feel, Shubhra? Do you agree? Just curious.
The Oscars love biopics. They love. I mean, the voters absolutely adore it. Adore all these admiring biopics where there are very few nose digs, very little critical gaze. I mean, the gaze that is cast upon the lead actor, who is pretty much the titular role, is almost always this kind of, in sympathy with. It's always something that goes down easy, mostly, which is why this complexity that Nolan managed to do it in tandem with Murphy was so welcome, because it was not completely and totally in awe of the character that he was portraying, though I do believe that it is very much in line with, rather than the other side. But the biopics are safe, they're easy, it's an academy favorite, and in so many, in the last so many years, we've always seen they veer towards these, the kind of underdog story and all of that. It's harder for voters to actually agree on stories which are more complex, more layered, more out of their zone, which is why I think the zone of interest, which is such a love, it's such a critical story to our times right now. It's revisionist. It's going back to a time. It was based on a Martin Amis of all people who wrote that novel, and I think Glaser has done a great job in the way he structured the film. It really could have gone bigger than it should have, but because it's not, it's a group of people, and it's a difficult situation, which is why it's so hard to give that film more than what it did. I think biopics by far are the easiest films to give awards to. Absolutely, not just the Oscars anyway. The big ones always pretty much go to that guy who was the center of the screen. And yeah.
Anyone else wants to chip into the discussion? Like what you feel, Shalini, Jyoti, Rohan, if you feel something about the way Oscar recognizes lead performances and the templatization of it all.
I think we've seen that they're deviating from the past. Like there was a time when they would, especially, like 20, 30 years ago, when they would vote very conventionally. But Oppenheimer kind of defies all odds. It's not a conventional movie. It's 3 hours long. It's not particularly funny. People talk a lot. It's about the end of the world. So those aren't really the kinds of movies those aren't crowd-pleasing movies. Um, it's a complex film. You wouldn't have expected it to make the kind of money that it did. The equivalent of that in India, if I can think of something, is like Sam Bahadur, and you can see like the difference in sensibilities and approach, right? Sam Bahadur is a caricature, uh, but that's an actual performance. It's a fully realized character that he's created. So I think when we talk about biopics being popular with awards voters, it's we're thinking about films like Sam Bahadur, which just they're not challenging and they're not particularly very good. But it's welcome change to see something like Oppenheimer being.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Uh,
I think that says it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, cool.
One piece in New Yorker I read, which was very interesting observation, was that how almost all the big picture nominees this year are focused around marital relationship. At the end of the day, they are all examining marriage. So, like whether it's Oppenheimer, Anatomy of a Fall, not Holdovers, but yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Past Lives. So, that was interesting.
Quickly, we have very little time. Five.
I don't know
Yeah.
anybody. Did anybody feel that Past Lives got got short shrift? I don't know. I didn't love the film. I liked it. I didn't love it, but the whole idea of yeah, right. So, but the whole idea that I love the third act in which both of the past childhood comes and stands right in front of the present her and the past him. And I think that they did a great job in the way the resolution is interesting and it's complex, and it leaves certain things unsaid, which I love. But it was a film that was which the critics loved through the year, and then it didn't really go anywhere at the Oscars. So again, it's
I think
something
it
to do.
peaked too
Yeah,
early. I
and
think it just
Yeah, I
also,
think
it
as
just
it
came
Shubhra,
went
too
you
early in the
said
year.
everybody
but
liked, but nobody loved. I think that is the problem with that film.
oh, lots
That
of
was
people
my,
loved it, loved it.
but
There are lots
but
of people who
again,
loved it.
it is the same thing with me. I mean, I in fact watched Three of Us and Past Lives at the same time, and while critics were comparing one to the other, I honestly believe that Three of Us is something I connected so much more to.
Hmm.
Past Lives, yes, it is a good film, but is it something that will take you to the, best picture or I don't think it was the best in the category. Compare it to everything else that we saw this year. It was again, I like it, but no, not there.
Quickly, because we have very little time, less than 5 minutes, around 4 minutes left. And not because these are minor categories, but let's discuss the best supporting acting awards. Are we all in agreement that Taviane Joy Randolph was the best this year when it came to the supporting actor category, best female actor?
Absolute shoe in, yeah. No
Supporting
surprises
Robert
this
Downey.
year, actually. Other than perhaps Emma, no surprises this year in the top categories. Everything is as expected.
Yeah, it was. I think everyone was predicting all of these awards were. I mean, Emma, yes, it kind of was a little bit of a rug pull, but other than that, it was what it was going to be always. And the best supporting actress actually it's a pretty crowded category in most
Yeah.
years. And they park all the actors that they cannot fit into the best actor. And they make this the most difficult category to pretty much, get one fixed opinion on. But I think this time, it was again such a it's a role that could have rolled into pathos, and also a trope, the black person, and the sad
Yeah.
story and all of that rolling into. But I think she got into there's a dignity, and with which she plays it, she gets that note really well, and I think that really it was a wonderful performance.
And Robert Downey
Robert
Jr.
yeah, not so sure about.
I like Jodie Foster a lot in Nahar for the simple reason that first time I saw Jodie Foster having fun. So just a
Certainly not
happy
having
role
fun
for
in
Jodie.
True Detective. In True Detective, she was not having fun. But yeah, absolutely. Robert Downey Jr., any words on
Happy,
him?
a happy Jodie.
Okay.
I did not like Robert Downey Jr. that much.
Yeah,
I mean, he's done
I
better roles, but I don't know if there was any other person who could have. Maybe Since I haven't seen Poor Things, I don't know how Mark Ruffalo was, but the
He's
others I thought,
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo really needed to have got that one. He is such a hoot in this one. He really is.
okay,
Yeah, he's you always think of him and you think of, the kids are all right and that kind of
yeah,
guy who make everything right. But here he's the catalyst where he makes everything wrong. He literally does, and he goes full tilt at this role, and he's just
and he
so
really deserves an award. So
Right.
I really think he should have got this one. Robert Downey Jr. is.
So that's
yeah,
one category people are not happy about. Great. And also, like before we end, because we've got less than a minute on, any any words on the best foreign film?
Zone of
The
Interest,
foreign
one.
Zone of interest.
Zone
zone
of
of
interest.
interest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Soul Indian documentary that was in it, nominated to Kill a Tiger,
Tiger.
uh, Nisha
Yeah.
Pahuja's documentary
Yeah.
feature, which is in and of itself a little problematic in the way it has been, the minor girl has been uh, put, her face has been revealed. Even though the filmmakers say that, they have her consent and all of that, it's not exactly something that, I mean, I'm a little uncomfortable about it, but 20 days in Mariupol it was definitely that year where Ukraine war. And I was really,
You
I
had
don't
to
know
agree.
what felt
Okay.
that way, but Palestine was there and not there. And, it was the elephant in the room, and only Glazer actually only, sort of hit that.
Okay. That's all we have time for today. Thank you for watching this video, and please do subscribe to the Indian Express YouTube channel. Thank you.